So there's at the end of Crito, and Crito is the name of a friend of Socrates that comes to his jail to visit him. I think this is definitely once he has been sentenced to death, but before he's obviously killed himself. And Crito is essentially making the case of, look, we can get you out of here. Yeah. We have the money, you could be sheltered in a different city. All you have to do is do it. And actually, he says, I think you're a coward for not doing it. Okay. You have children. Why leave them to be raised by other men?
How many kids do you have?
I think he had 3. At least 3 that are named.
Yeah.
Not by name, but that are mentioned. And Socrates goes on these Socratic questionings and says, okay, let's establish that this is evil and this is good. And eventually he actually speaks as if he was the city of Athens or the laws of Athens.
Okay.
And says, what if I replied, yes, but the state has injured us and given an unjust sentence. Suppose I say that. Then the law would answer, and what was that our agreement, and was that our agreement with you? Or were you to abide by the sentence of the state? And if I were to express my astonishment at their words, the law would probably add, answer, Socrates. Instead of opening your eyes, you were in the habit of asking and answering questions. Tell us, what complaint have you to make against us which justifies you in an attempting to destroy us and the state? In the first place, did we not bring you into existence? Your father married your mother by our aid and begat you. Say whether you have any objection to urge against those of us who regulate marriage. None, I should reply. Or against those of us who after death regulate the nurture and education of children, in which you were also trained. Were not the laws, which have the charge of education, right in commanding your father to train you in music and gymnastic? Right, I should reply. Well then, since you were brought into the world and nurtured and educated by us, can you deny, in the first place, that you are our child and slave, as your fathers were before you? And if this is true, you are not on equal terms with us, nor can you think that you have a right to do to us what we are doing to you. Would you have any right to strike or revile or do any other evil to your father or your master, if you had one, because you had been struck or reviled by him or received some other evil at their hands? You would not say this? And because we think right to destroy you, do you think that you have any right to destroy us in return, and your country as far as in your lies? Will you, O professor of true virtue, pretend that you are justified in this? Has a philosopher like you failed to discover that our country is more valued and higher and holier far than mother or father or any ancestor, and more to be regarded in the eyes of the gods and of men of understanding? Also to be soothed and gently and reverently entreated when angry, even more than a father, and either to be persuaded, or if not persuaded, to be obeyed? And when we are punished by her, whether with imprisonment or stripes, the punishment is to be endured in silence. And if she leads us to wounds or death in battle, thither we follow as is right. Neither may one yield or retreat or leave his rank, but whether in battle or in court of law or in any other place, he must do what his city and his country order him, or he must change their view of what is just. And if he may do no violence to his father or mother, much less may he do violence to his country. He goes on to say a little bit later, but he who has experience of the manner in which we order justice and administer the state, and still remains, has entered into an implied contract that he will do as we command him. And he who disobeys us...
Say that part again.
He who has experience... Okay, the main part is, he who has experience of the manner in which we order justice and administer the state, who is knowledgeable, he is an adult, and still remains, has entered into an implied contract that he will do as we command him. And he who disobeys us is, as we maintain, thrice wrong. First, because he is disobeying us as he is disobeying his parents. Secondly, because we are the authors of his education. Thirdly, because he has made an agreement with us that he will duly obey our commands. And he neither obeys them, nor convinces us that our commands are unjust, and we do not rudely impose them, but give him the alternative of obeying or convincing us that that is what we offer, and he does neither. You either obey them or convince us, the laws, that we are unjust. So this is what Benjamin Constant would describe as the liberty of the ancients. You have no such thing as sovereignty in the public realm, as an individual. Oh, sorry, I should say, you have no such thing as sovereignty in the private realm. You have the state has full control over you because you have decided to stay part of it and not change it. Now it's radical to our eyes.
Yeah, and I find myself having difficulty agreeing with that, given the history of the 20th century, and given our own time, in which many countries do not seem to have the welfare of their young population as their highest priority. So I struggle with the notion that one would owe loyalty to a system determinedly bent on opposing your well-being.
Well, let's see. It says that there's three things that Socrates says there's three ways that you would be betraying your state in such a way. One would be because you're not obeying the state as you would your parents. Second, because the state has been your educator. I think that's what it says. Yeah, because the laws are the authors of your education. And thirdly, because you've made an agreement with us to do duly as we say. Now, have we done those three things? The laws make an argument here that they deserve the same or better treatment than the way you should treat your parents, because they have enabled your education, they have nurtured you, they have forced your parents to educate you in the best possible way. And I would claim that the current laws have done nothing of the sort.
True.
So we were just talking, just before we put the camera on, about how me and my peers were taught none of what we needed to know at university about getting a job and talking to people in such a way as to attract offers and to just not waste people's time. This is teaching me more than university did.
Okay, I will say that his claim, given that it's Athens at that time, is perfectly tenable. The claim made today, or for example, in communist Russia, would be harder.
It would be different. But also there's a point there which is you have consented to be in this state. There's an implicit thing there. Now, especially because we live in the globalized West, we don't have a choice.
Yeah. Back then, you could leave?
Oh yeah, if you wanted to leave Athens, you could. There was no law stopping you.
Okay.
They actually make that clear. Well, there is no law stopping you from leaving Athens.
That's different.
Now, if you leave and betray Athens...
Also different.
But just leaving? No. I think that in that dialogue specifically, they say, and because we have no laws preventing you from leaving, then you staying here is an implied contract with us. You want, a modern man might say you want the benefits.
Yes.
Singapore takes a similar approach.
Yeah, I see that.
You want to come to Singapore? Okay, 0 drugs.
Yes. Okay, I agree with that. We don't have a way to leave our Meme-plex, our propaganda instruments. They pursue us to the ends of the earth.
Now, imagine if we think of this as a digital place. We have no walls. It's just a soup.
Yeah.
You owe the soup obedience. Fuck that.
No. It's worse than that. You owe the soup your mind. It's like one of the evil gods out of Warhammer.
Noise for the noise god.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that.
How awful.
I think Socrates might adjust his opinions if he lived today.
Oh, yeah. And actually, there's another thing I underlined in this specific dialogue. So part of the reason he's not keen to escape and live a worse life elsewhere than the one he's already lived is a good life rather than life is to be chiefly valued. Yeah. And so I think Socrates would quibble at describing what we currently have as a good life. He might say, what are you doing? None of your teachers or laws allow you to have a good soul.
Yeah.
I think he would be a tad more revolutionary if we dropped him today.
Oh, no, I was wrong. It's got to go.
All right, now I see what it became. He also makes, in this dialogue, but in many others, a big deal out of saying, I refuse to do something because most people think it's a good idea. And I think the noise might qualify as what most people think is a good way to spend their time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a sci-fi story a long time ago called Harrison Bergeron. And in it, the smart people are forced to wear white noise headphones that they can never take off, which jabber at them. I think about that story a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was for the sake of equality.
Oh, I remember this story.
Yeah.
This is, and if you have a higher capacity for cognitive tasks, it talks to you more often.
Yes.
It actually scales.
Yes.
And some people walk around with no nose.
Yeah.
I think I might have actually read this because I remember moments of someone's about to say something and the noise spikes and they forget that train of thought.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I might start thinking about that more. But why, my dear Crito, should we care about the opinion of the many? Good men, and they are the only persons who are worth considering, will think of these things truly as they occurred.